Welcome back. This is Shade Hoolix, and we're playing Out of the Park Baseball 26. We are currently in the off season of the 2026 season, and we are going to take this time and look at the stats. From this year. So first of all, let's look at the Major League players. Here is our depth chart. Up here at the top, we have all of our pitchers, starting pitchers, closer, setup, middle relief, long relief, specialist. As far as starting pitchers go, Packy Naughton had the best ERA plus. Only had a WAR of 2.3 because he only pitched 60 innings in the majors this year. Nope, that's not Packy Naughton. He pitched 144 innings, sorry. He had a WAR of 3.4. Let me do this. An ERA of 4.12. And that's combined between AAA and the majors. And his salary is $740,000, but according to our metrics, he can be paid between 7 and 12, and he would still be a good, getting good value for what he brings to the table. So we hope we see more of that. Sonny Gray was our second best pitcher, bounced back year this year. He didn't have a great year last year, but had a 111 ERA plus. Threw almost 200 innings this year, which was a stark increase. I think that's like 30 more innings than what he pitched the year before. And then our next best pitcher was Brian Bello, who we just talked about, with a 2.8 WAR through 178 innings. And then Jose Alvarado, who we picked up via free agency, was lights out this year. Concurring, as we had already talked, he was our worst pitcher this year statistically. Only threw 56 innings, but had an ERA of almost 5, a BABIP of 295, a WHIP of 176, and only struck out 18% while walking 17%. That's bad right there. And then offensively, Mason Wynn had the highest WAR for the year. Donnie had the highest OPS plus, and Jordan Walker right behind him. Walker ended up with 19 home runs, but I think we talked about it. I don't know if I did it on the video or not, but he had 16 home runs in June, and he only hit 3 the rest of the year. So, and it wasn't because of an injury, because he didn't miss any time. We have extended or given extensions to Walker and Wynn. Walker on average, I think it was like a $12 million per year for 10 years, and Wynn's was $23 million, I believe, or something like that. As you can see right here, Walker's is a whole lot higher than what his value is, but he's only a 45 out of 60, and so hopefully he can continue to develop. whereas win is a 60 out of 65. We also extended Ivan Herrera for 5 more years. I think we did it for around 11 million per year or something like that. 12.3 maybe, somewhere in that area. And we also had to make a decision on Sonny Gray for a $30 million extension or a team option. And though that's way higher than this value here, he is I think, very popular locally. And so we went ahead and extended him. And then we'll look at AAA real quick. Pitching in AAA, it was just downright awful. Awful. Zach Thompson had the highest ERA plus, but his ERA was still 4.4, which is not good. Actually, Barreros had the highest ERA plus. But that was only in 32 innings. Tinkins threw the most innings, and he had an 89 ERA plus. None of our starters, I don't believe. One of them was above average by 2%. And so, and then batting wise, Brian Torres had a decent year. And that's Matt Kopernik had a decent year. But other than that, not much. Double A looks a lot better than what AAA did. But there's really nobody. If you look at the overalls, there's no future there that I can really foresee. Pitching wise, Nate Dom, he was, tracked to be right on. He's right on average. Not average, but he's my number 2 prospect. Jason Savakul, he had a really good year. If he can do that again, may look at moving him up. AAA. Pete Hansen had a pretty good year. I think he was in AA last year. And we moved him up. Zach Showalter was in. This is AA. Pete Hansen was in a high. Zach Showalter was also in high. And got moved up. Rincon might have been the same way. I don't recall. All 5 of these at the bottom got moved up. From high A or A, one or the other. And then let's look at position prospects real quick. This is what my table says, that we have these prospects. We have several prospects in the 40 range. Only one in the 60 is the second baseman. He's actually, I think, in the international complex, if I'm remembering correctly. Yep, Manuel Hernandez. And then pitching prospects, we have a ton of pitching prospects. Mostly relief pitchers, but there's that. Let's look at stats real quick. Starting pitchers. Once again, Tarek Skubal just ran away with being the best pitcher in the world. Once again, had an ERA of 2.28 in 229 innings, went 19-6. And then Shota Imanaga went 202 innings and threw 2.58 ERA. And ERA plus of 1.58. And for my players, Sonny Gray was ranked 29th. Brian Bello ranked 67th. Packy Naughton 68th. Brandon Walter 80th. And Michael McGreevy 110, which I believe was pretty. There's only 133 pitchers that actually were ranked due to the number of innings they threw. And McGreevy was 110. Relievers, Jose Alvarado was number 3 overall. I had 4 in the top 40 overall: JoJo, Matt Swanson, Kyle Lehigh, Jose Alvarado, and then Lucas Ursik was just outside the top 40. Carrying right here, 220. I don't know how many. 256. So, and then batting wise, Mason Wynn ranked 23rd overall in hitting. Notice a lot more blue on here outside of Victor Scott and Nolan Arenado. And I'm going to have to. I love Victor Scott in real life, but that's just too. That's too bad, and he's not good enough defensively to offset how bad he is offensively. There are literally some center fielders that are double what he is. And then we got to get Arenado replaced. Jordan Walker, so bad defensively. Like, I would put him as DH, but I'm general manager only, so I have no control. I guess I could force start him at DH, but he did improve his strikeout rate. He was at 29, almost 30% last year, and was down to 23% this year. So hopefully we still continue to see an increase in that, or a decrease in that rather. I don't know if he'll ever get down to like Mason Wynn territory, but if he can get under 20, we'd take that. Overall, top catchers, Langelier. He's actually going to be a free agent this year, it looks like. He was not but he was really not a good zone rating at all. Dylan Dingler was the top rated as far as zone rating goes for catchers. First baseman, Nick Kurtz, for the second straight year, was the overall best first baseman. I know he doesn't have 0. He's still in arbitration. So, where is Wilson Contreras? 15th. Where was Ivan Herrera? 7th. So, Jackson Holiday was number 1 ranked second baseman, with Donnie right behind him. Ketel Marte had a much better offensive year than either one of them. Well, I say that, but his average is actually less. But he had 32 home runs, so that always helps, and 100 RBIs. But defensively, he is well below average. Donnie's not great. Oh, that's what I was going to do. Move Donnie to third base and put J.J. Weatherholt at second. I got to remember to do that. And then for third baseman, Alex Bregman was number 1 overall, and not even really close. Much better hitter than everybody except for Junior Caminero. And then is also, not only was he the best hitter, third baseman, he was also the best fielder. And then Nolan Arenado down here, just not doing it as well defensively, and definitely not doing it as well offensively. Um, Shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. Top overall shortstop. Best defender. Nope, not the best defender. Noah Miller was a better defender. But he was also a pretty good hitter, whereas Noah Miller was terrible at the plate. Best offensive, Gunnar Henderson. But Gunnar Henderson was a terrible defender. And then Mason Wynn was the number 5 overall ranked shortstop. If I could get everybody, be top 5, that would be fantastic. Then for the outfielders, left fielder, Jackson Churio, overall best outfielder. The best defender seems to be Stephen Kwan. And the best offensive outfielder was James Wood, or at least left fielder, not outfielder, left fielder. And then Lars Newbar, all the way down here, 25th. Lars produced well offensively, but once again, defensively was not great. Center field, PCA. It's not as big of a gap as I thought it would be. Offensively, though, Jason Dominguez from New York, the Yankees, is number 1 offensive player. Number 1 defensive center fielder was Julio Rodriguez, which is somewhat surprising. And then Victor Scott the second, was down here 17th. Not the worst offensive center fielder, but the 3rd worst, behind Jose Siri and Dalton Varsho. And defensively, just not good enough. Like, you got to get better there. And then right fielders, Aaron Judge was by and far the best right fielder this year. Offensively, he almost doubled. Not quite, but pretty close to doubling the 2nd best right fielder. Now, Aaron Judge isn't very good defensively. Best defender was James Outman. And then our Jordan Walker was a 21st ranked player, even though he was, top 10, 12 on offense. He was the 3rd worst defender. And the DH, there's only 1 DH in the league, and it's Shohei. Shohei only hit 227, 47 home runs though, 121 RBIs, struck out 32% of the time. So let's look at the stats. That's something we looked at before. Look at Team Almanac real quick. We were right in the middle as far as attendance goes with 2.7 million. I misread the ticket price, and I went from a $39 ticket to a $50 ticket, and so our attendance kind of hurt. It hurt us pretty good. Finished 83 and 79. We were, as far as hits go, we were just below average. Doubles, we had a little bit more than average. Home runs, well below average. 140 almost, 132 less than the team with the most. Walk percentage 8.6. Not the worst, not the best. Strikeout percentage 18.6, which was the best. We struck out less than anybody else in the league. Batting average 245, which was right about average. Average was 243. I didn't mean to put that in percentage. Runs created 4.3. Slightly worse than average. WOBA. There we go. 308 or 307. OPS plus, we were 3% worse than league average. Weighted runs created plus, 1% worse than league average. WAR 19.5. The average was 19.9. Stolen bases 149. We were above average there, but nowhere near the Orioles. Stolen base percentage 78.4. Slightly below average. And then defensively, we gave up 152 home runs, which is second in the league behind the Brewers. But Willie struck out 20% of the batters. The tops in the league, 24.9. We don't strike out a ton. And when you don't strike out a ton, you're not going to have as high of a strikeout to walk ratio. Although our strikeout to walk ratio is pretty good considering we don't strike out very many people. But still not as good as, say, who is at the Padres. 17% difference. That means they walk 7%. This right here is absolutely mind-blowing. We had a 37% quality start ratio. The Cubs had 60. That's crazy. Average was 31. So we're above average. And we're way better than last year. Right? Went from 15 to 37. But ERA plus, we were 2% above ERA, but not anywhere near as good as the Cubs or the Brewers, both in our division. Our WAR 20.7, slightly above average. But once again, the Brewers and the Cubs. Errors, we had 74, slightly less than the average team, but not nearly as good as the Dodgers or the Royals. Zone rating this year, 4.1. The Cubs were 45. The Orioles were 30. That's just, who is this? The Rockies were 53. That is nuts. Marlins were negative 32. Stolen base attempts. This right here, routine plays, 94%, slightly worse than average. But whenever it's only 93.5 is the worst, and 95.6 is the best. So you 2 percentage points. When you're half a percentage point lower, 0.6 of a percentage point lower, that's pretty bad. Likely plays 79%, with the best being at 86. Not good. Even, last year we were one of the top. This year we are somewhere in the middle. We got to 6% less balls this year. You got 32% more unlikely balls. Not 32% more. That's crazy. 4.5% more. But the Yankees got to 38%. No, the Brewers got to 38% of theirs. So we got a long way to go. But it is what it is. But that is, I believe, everything as far as the off-season stats go. So anyways, that'll end this video. So leave a comment, hit that like button, tell me what you think, and I'll catch you on the next one.